One should lift oneself with one's effort and should not degrade themselves. Degrading themselves means what? Not calling themselves names. I don't look good. I look bad. How can I tell the girl, that I love you? If I were handsome, then I could have said and she would have fallen for me. No. Don't deride yourself. I am the worst person on earth. And nobody cares for me. Nobody has given me so far. No. Don't say this word. Never degrade yourself in your own eyes. Because you are your own good friend or your worst enemy. Why not be a good friend to yourself? We are doing chapter 6 from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 5 onwards. One should lift oneself by one's own effort and should not degrade oneself, for one's own self is one's friend and one's own self is one's enemy. Now this is a wonderful verse which will tell you how you are responsible for everything that happens to you. And it is important that you do it in such a manner that you are not deriding yourself. One should lift oneself with one's own effort. There is nobody in this world who is going to tell you what to do and what not to do. You have to do things. Okay? Now, let us say, for example, in our satsang, okay? Till a person doesn't open their mouth and ask questions, there are no answers going to be given. Likewise, some people say that I want to have a satsang with you. They will tell me sometimes, or they will say I want to have a call with you. If they ask me this question, then I can grant them a call. Then I can talk to them directly. But if they start thinking in their mind, Guruji is supposed to tell me when to have a call. That is not how it is done. Where are the self-efforts? Self-efforts means taking your time to do that thing. So if you want to have a call with me, you need to put in the efforts of at least writing a message saying that can we have a call on Saturday, can we have a call on Monday, can we have a call on Tuesday. So something like that. I may or may not grant you, or I may say that okay, you can have a call tomorrow itself, or maybe if you're free just now, we can have a call. This is called making efforts. People actually don't want to make efforts. So Shri Krishna says in this world that one has to lift oneself with one's own effort. You have to put that effort of writing. You have to put that effort of doing. If you are not going to put effort, and if you are expecting Shri Krishna to give something in your lap, okay, God is going to grant you $1 million. It's never going to happen. You have to put those efforts. I will tell you a story of Kuchela. Now, Kuchela is none other than the best friend of Shri Krishna. Okay? His name was Sudama. I hope you know Sudama. Now, Sudama and Krishna one day went in the jungles. Maybe they were grazing the cows or whatever. At that point in time, it so happens that Shri Krishna is saying to Sudama, I am a little tired. Can I lie down in your lap? Now both are young children, remember this. So Krishna lies down in the lap and he is feigning to go to sleep. He closes his eyes and he is feigning to go to sleep. Meanwhile, Sudama says, okay, Shri Krishna's mother has given some food to eat. Okay, those are called puffed rice. Puffed rice, you know, na? In Hindi they call it kurmura, mamra or something like that. I don't know what. So maybe you know that. So puffed rice. Now what happens is when he takes it out from his pocket and he started eating. Now you know when you eat this puffed rice, it makes a sound, crumb, 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 like that. So Sri Krishna can hear the sound. He doesn't say anything. And then he's moving his lip, his mouth like that. So Sri Krishna is observing it. He never says anything. After he has finished that eating, Sri Krishna says, friend, I am very hungry. I need some water and I need some food to eat. I am very hungry. Says, yeah, I am also hungry. Kuchela says. Then he says, you know what? Did my mother give something to eat? He says, no, she never gave anything. Whereas this fellow has eaten already. And then he says to her, to Sri Krishna, I am also very hungry. Let us see where we can get. So he says, no. See, the thing is, I saw your mouth moving. No, that is happening because of hunger. I am doing like this because of hunger. Now Sri Krishna lets it go. Because Sri Krishna is a smart fellow, so he just lets it go. And they come back home later on. Now it so happens that many years later, Sudama, who is a person, poor person, he's become an absolutely kuchela, which means absolutely a poor person. He has no money, he has nothing to eat at home, so on and so forth. Now what happens is, Sudama's wife says, you have a friend, his name is Krishna, he is a kingdom, he is a king of a kingdom, a rich man, very, very rich man. Why don't you go and ask him for some money? And Kuchela says to his wife, how can I ask, it's not good. He says, no, he's a best friend, isn't it? He may want to prove himself that he's a best friend. So you go and ask him. So okay, I'll go and ask you. Do you have anything in the house which I can give him? So she says, there's nothing at home. There is only some puffed rice. That is enough, no problem. You give that to me. So he takes the puffed rice, ties it up in his dhoti and goes to meet Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna welcomes him, takes him home and washes his feet. This is called Adaratitya. Okay, that means you are doing service for the guest. So he does all that and then he says, what have you brought for me, friend? So he is a little reluctant. How can such a great king, Sri Krishna, how can I offer him, this puffed rice? He says, no, you are hiding something. Give it to me. So he gives. Sri Krishna eats it. And he says, oh, I am so satisfied. Remember, in the past he had not given the same thing to him. Now he has given. So Sri Krishna is lost in his reverie and he is saying, I want to give this man something. I will give him a palace as good as mine. I'll give him so many servants. I'll do this for him. I'll do that for him. It's a blessing. And meanwhile, he started eating more. Who? Shri Krishna is eating more of that puffed rice. His wife is sitting next to him. She stops his hand. Don't. Enough. That's it. So he looks at her and he says, Why are you saying like this? You know, if you eat more, you are going to give away lots of wealth which he cannot handle. He is a poor man. Remember this. A poor man cannot handle billions and billions. So please don't be, so generous with him. Give him only that which he can handle. And then Sri Krishna says, thank you, and shuts his mouth. Now, Kuchela has good food and stuff like that, and they meet each other. And without uttering a word, he doesn't tell Krishna, I want something. Doesn't. But Sri Krishna knows, so that is why he has given. Now, he goes back empty-handed. So when he goes to his place, he finds that there is a very big palace over there. And there is so many, good things happening around. There are festivals, there is this, there is that, all that kind of thing. Music and all that. So he is wondering, who is this person over here? Some great person has taken over my house. This whole thing was over here. Now what has happened? So he goes inside and he sees his own wife. She's sitting like a Rani, a queen, on the bed. And he says, what happened? Why are you like this? Oh, your Krishna gave all these things to us. Now understand one thing. We do prayers. Prayers which we perform? In the prayer we say certain words. God, please give me this, please give me that. All the prayers are like that only. First it is praise. Prayer actually means praise. It says, God give me this or God give me that later on. First it is, God, you are so wonderful, God, you are so beautiful, your eyes are like this, your mouth is like this, your basri is like that, you look so handsome, your clothes shine, blah, 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 blah. I am giving you this light, I'm doing aarti and stuff like that, all that thing. And later on it is about, can you please grant me this, can you give me this, can you give me that. So it is a prayer, it's from your mouth it is coming. Sri Krishna only gives that which you think is said. Gods have this thing. Till you don't open your mouth, they are not going to give you. So prayer is important. So please understand this verse. You have to do it. If you don't open your mouth, nothing is going to come to you. I am not saying that you have to ask something from God. But I am saying that in the material world, if those who are living in the material world, if they don't open their mouth, they are not going to get anything. Every time I give a story of a person. Now there are two young boys and a beautiful girl. This one guy is in love with her. But he's a very quiet guy. He doesn't open his mouth, doesn't say a word. He's just literally quiet all the time. But there is another gregarious fellow, he just wants to jabber, talk, he wants to show off, he'll wear some nice clothes and dress nicely and come on a bike and stuff like that. And this girl falls for this guy. Because he's a, butterfly. And finally the butterfly gets the girl. And this fellow who has not spoken a word doesn't get her. So isn't it important to first say, open your mouth and say that this is what is required? So doing the action is very important. People miss out these things. One should lift oneself with one's effort and should not degrade themselves. Degrading themselves means what? Not calling themselves names. I don't look good. I look bad. How can I tell the girl, that I love you? If I were handsome, then I could have said and she would have fallen for me. No. Don't deride yourself. I am the worst person on earth. And nobody cares for me. Nobody has given me so far. No. Don't say this word. Never degrade yourself in your own eyes. Because you are your own good friend or your worst enemy. Why not be a good friend to yourself? Why do you have to keep on giving yourself this idea that you are the worst person on earth? Why not say you are very good? Got it? So always talk good stuff about yourself, not about others. See, people love to criticize others. They say bad stuff about others. They are called demonic people. They are demonic characters. No, if you have to say good stuff, first start with yourself. First think of yourself that I am very good. I can do this. I can do that. Understood? So never deride yourself. So even when I gave those examples, there is a person in my world. Now every 15 days or maybe a month's time, I will write to that person and say, can we have a call? I will say all the good stuff that is there. This person is upset and angry over something which in his mind he believes has happened. So he doesn't connect with me. So he will write to me after 5 days saying, I will see what I can do. I will give you a call. But the person has never returned the call, never even spoken to me. Am I making my effort? Yes. As a guru, please understand, I am not supposed to put all these efforts. It is the disciple's job to come to me. It's not the other way around. Who wants the knowledge? They want the knowledge. So they should make the effort. If this person makes the effort, do you think I will definitely talk to him or no? I will, 100%. I will give him all the attention. I will talk to him. I will do what is necessary. But the person has to come. Okay? So, we have done till verse 5. So, we are doing chapter 6, verse 6 from the Bhagavad Gita. One's own self is a friend of the soul by whom the lower self, consisting of the mind, senses and the body, has been conquered. Even so, the very self of him who has not conquered his lower self behaves antagonistically like an enemy. So this is a verse which tells us that there are two selves within us. One is called the lower self, the other one is called the higher self. Where the lower self is concerned, it consists of the body. Basically the body, which consists of mind, senses and everything which is there in the body. So physical body you can say, plus the mental body. So I'm sure you know, remember the three bodies that we have. The three bodies that we have, one is the gross body, second one is the subtle body, and the third one is called what is called as the happy body, kind of causal body. Now there is no happiness in that body, incidentally. So these three bodies are there within you. They are called the lower body. Okay, the lower self. Beyond that is the higher self. This higher self is what we have to be bothered about. The lower self is about this physical being. So Shri Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. Now if you have the book in front of you, see how it is written. One's own self, capital S, is a friend of the soul by whom the lower self, capital S, is not there, small s is there. So please understand, these are two selves. Okay? One is the higher self and one is the lower self. The higher self is beyond the bodies. Three bodies that I said just now. The lower self is all these bodies put together. They are the mean ones. They are basically ignorant. They don't have knowledge. So, one's own self, the capital S, is a friend of the soul by whom the lower self has been conquered. Now I want you to look at this line. It is very beautiful. Do you see that the self is a friend of the soul? You see, these words are very tricky to understand. Who is the soul? Soul is the Lord, God Himself. So our higher self, capital S, is a friend of God. So self is different than soul. Do you get this point? Self is that which identifies itself. What went into this body is called the self. Alright? Soul is the bigger thing, higher one. So don't mistake this as something which is different. Always consider what is written over there, because the words make a difference. So, the higher self, which is a friend of God, by whom? Now he, the higher self, the lower self has been conquered. So the higher self has conquered the lower self. Did you get it? So if I have the higher self, it has to overcome the lower self. What is the lower self? Consisting of the mind, senses and the body. These three things. And so, the very self of him, very self, capital S again, who has not conquered the lower self, if this self is not able to conquer the lower self, behaves antagonistically like an enemy. So the lower self is an enemy of the higher self. Please understand this very carefully. The lower self thinks of the higher self as an enemy. Period. So what happens when the higher self says to that person, don't drink? The lower self says, who are you to tell me I should drink or not drink? I am going to drink. I just want to waste myself. That's none of your business. Who is this person talking inside? Don't talk to me. So I will go and drink. Suppose there is a person who is used to getting into wrong situations. The higher self says, don't get in these situations. You can get into wrong company. There is a girl that I know. Now, she was only 16 years old when I knew about her. As a 16-year-old, she would go out on a motorcycle. a very big motorcycle. Just imagine a very thin young girl who is around less than 50 kilos in weight driving a Royal Enfield motorbike, or they call that in America, they have those big bikes, it goes like that, Harley Davidson. Imagine a thin girl riding that. And she would always keep a small bottle of hard liquor with her. 16-year-old. By the time she was 18 and 20, she used to drink like a fish. And always found in the company of boys. Now you only think about it. What is going to happen to her? A girl who is always interested in boys' company, always interested in deriding herself, thinking that, it looks very fashionable if I ride a bike and I go out with these guys and drink. This is a wrong notion which she carries. And then it is very easy to blame parents, no? She used to blame her father. Father was an army man. So she would blame her father and her mother, saying that, they are the worst people on earth. They don't give me this, they don't give me that. And she would go and ask money from her father, and her father would think, okay, she wants for college and he will give. She wants for this, he will give. She wants for that, he will give. So, not even caring to know what is she doing with the money. So what would be her condition? Now I want you to think very carefully. What she was doing was with a higher self or lower self? Naturally you will understand it is with her body, isn't it? Body, mind and senses. She's indulging in that. So the lower self always wants to fall down, always wants to take the easy way out, always wants to behave in a nasty manner. Okay? So it is going to tell, why should you bother? Don't worry. All the whole world is drinking, you can also drink. The whole world is doing this, you can also do. The whole world is, going around with some guys and all that, you can also do. The lower self is the one which tells you, this person whom I was talking about, tells this person, Guruji doesn't care for you. Guruji is not interested in things like you are doing, He doesn't care whether you are sick or whether you are hungry, whether you are angry or whatever. No, he is only interested in his own self. So the lower self will keep on giving this kind of feeds. The higher self knows that this is not correct. So Shri Krishna says, anybody who falls for the lower self and listens to all the words, that is, your mind tells you things, don't fall for it. Overcome it with your own self-effort. So you have to be the best friend of yours and not an enemy of yours. Be a good friend to yourself. Learn with this higher self. That is the God within. He is connected to God, isn't it? Why would you want to fall for this petty stuff? Why are you listening to your mind and thinking that, something is wrong? No, don't do that. The lower self will keep on telling you, what is the point in doing all this? God doesn't give me anything. God is against me. God is like this. God is like that. The lower self is talking. Don't get into it. This is going to cause misery to you. And that is why you have to rise above. With your own self-effort. There is nobody outside of you who is going to tell you what to do. As a friend, somebody will say, no, don't drink, don't do this, you can do this, you can do that. As a good friend, you may say, you may tell your other friend, see, you should do this. But if your own self, the lower self that is there, is giving you all the wrong feedback, is telling you how bad you are, how worst you are the worst thing in the world, it's called self-deprecation. Like you deride yourself so much. So in the previous verse, is he not saying that you deride yourself? Don't deride yourself. You are that essence of the divine. Why are you thinking that you are some ordinary person? Don't keep on thinking I can't do this because I am incapable, I am not able to do this, I have never done this in my life. You know that inability which you have, it is all because of the lower self. The lower self keeps on telling you are a useless person. Don't do this. Huh? Nobody cares for you. Nobody is good. This is something which you need to avoid. Alright? So we have come to the end of verse 6. So we will stop over here.